Greetings, everybody. It is Napalm Dawn here on G4G, and today we are discussing Marvel Avengers Alliance Redux Beta 6. This is a good video for those who often come to my videos for news and then translate it into Portuguese and Spanish. This is definitely a good video to use to update your respective channels, and I'll tag some people down below in the comments or the description so that you guys get this video and can do one for your native languages. This is up to date and breaking information about Beta 6 that only came out about 4 or 5 hours ago or so. So let's get a few things out of the way first in the beginning of the video and kind of cop to a few things and discuss the obvious elephant in the room. Around this time last year, the development team had hoped, it was never promised, and it's really frustrating when people begin the commentary with like, we've waited a year and it was promised last year. There was never a promise. That is a far different word and a far different reality from the development team saying they had hoped it would be in the first quarter of 2024. It didn't happen. Real life interceded. There were development team members who had health problems, who had family health issues that they needed to attend to. And unfortunately, real life took a pretty big toll on the coding and development team. Goofy has been out in the recent 2 or 3 months or so discussing this rather publicly and explain what was going on, and that he's had a little bit of a reprieve from that and has been hard at work since real life, outside life got a little bit easier. That is where we are now, and that is a good chunk of why the delays had happened. We've all lived through 2020 and 2021 with the COVID delays and how much that changed the development life cycles of things like Shadowlands for World of Warcraft and Borderlands 3, and I think even some of the Final Fantasy 7 expansions to the Final Fantasy 7 remake. The Marvel's Avengers game from Square and Crystal Dynamics was put off, I think, from April to September. So we should be used to these things happening, and people need to be more understanding and forgiving of the fact that this is a small group of people who are not getting paid for it and are taking their time, blood, sweat, and tears in rebirthing this game that left the world back in 2016. And any amount of Redux being playable certainly beats nothing being playable due to Marvel Avengers Alliance closing back in September 2016. That disclaimer being said, there's another one I need to get into before we get into the updates, and that is there is no ETA as of yet, but when you see Goofy talking about things and posting a lot of pictures and everything, it is legitimate to have some hype in your head and in your heart and believe that it is coming in a relatively near future. I can't estimate that it's going to be days or weeks or say New Year's Day, New Year's Eve, Christmas Eve. I don't know that. It has not been discussed with me, and I'm not going to make a prediction because anytime a prediction is made, we go back to the issue that we had last year at about this time. So I don't have any release dates. Don't ask me about them. Don't ask me a guesstimate. If you do want to have that discussion of what could be my honest opinion or guess as to where things stand with this, come to the stream on a Tuesday or Wednesday starting at 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. We've got a bunch of people there. We go over these things. We go over some bugs that we're still digging up. And believe me, we're digging up bugs daily. Anybody who comes by the stream can tell you how very open and honest and raw the Tuesday and Wednesday streams are, because good things happen, great things happen, and buggy things happen. That's life. So Goofy at about 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern on Wednesday night went and put a bunch of videos on Discord and also on Facebook. So Goofy has this set of pictures on Discord telling you what to expect in Beta 6. If you've been following my videos, you already know some of this. If you've been coming to the streams, you definitely know this because you've watched me go through 5.5 and 5.6 and now 5.9. The internal coding development team, read as not the closed beta testers, but the ones who are actually coding it and working on it daily, they're actually in a build higher than mine. They're on 5.10, and they take a lot of what I submit as bugs in 5.9 and get it working in 5.10, or they tell me it's already working in 5.10 because they've encountered the bug before I did. So Goofy has this screenshot which shows that the tutorial is functional. This is important because, as you hopefully know, but if this is news to you, you're going to hear it here first. Beta 6 has code in it for the save files that is not compatible with 5.2 save files. If a 5.2 save file is attempted to be brought into Beta 6, it's going to bug out a little bit. Certain things are not going to work, and the proper linear progression of the game will not be functional for you. You're going to have a janky mess. So everybody is going to reset when Beta 6 drops because you have to start a brand new save. That is why we've been telling people who are getting into 5.2 now that they should be kind of casual about it. Like, don't break the bank going ham on 5.2 because your progress is going to be reset anyway. If you're upset about that, if you put a lot of time into 5.2, again, understand this happens. You can go back to, so there was a set of games on the Commodore 64 called the Gold Box games. They were from Strategic Simulations Incorporated, SSI. They were Dungeons and Dragons games. One of them was Pools of Radiance. There was not a remake, but a Pools of Radiance in the modern era of computer games, somewhere in the early 2000s, late 90s. Every time they updated the version of that game, save files were shot. They just didn't work from version to version. That's why these things are beta, and it's not a final release. So yes, unfortunately, there is code to set up your save to work properly in the Beta 6 saves, so everybody will be starting fresh. What does that mean for Beta 6? It means that your Spec Ops will be available 1 through whatever it is. I think it's like 10, 1 through Damon, the Damon Hellstrom Spec Ops. That will be available and playable. You will have to do them in order. However, when you get to a certain number of tasks in a Spec Ops, you will be able to skip to the next one without completing your current one. So say you get like, I forget where the cutoff is, like 10, 15 tasks into the Rescue Spec Ops, and you're not really interested in recruiting Rescue, you can then start the next Spec Ops and complete that one if you wish. But you can't totally jump around the way that you could in 5.5 and 5.6. So you have some freedom over there, just not a massive amount. And all Spec Ops are evergreen. All PvP seasons are evergreen in the sense that you don't go back and play an old season. There would be no reason for it. However, you can do PvP basically at whatever speed you want to do until you start encountering missions where you have to use people that come from winning PvP seasons, like, say, Deadpool or something like that. Here is a screenshot of group bosses. So you'll notice that this is Ultron in the Spec Ops where you fight him. So for me, I have fought him in the Vision Spec Ops. And you can see there are now group bosses on the map. I have fought at least 2 group bosses in my testing, and they will be challenging, but you can overcome them. You obviously are not going to be sharing a group boss with any of your friends because there is no network connectivity. However, when you fight a boss and it retreats, he, she, it, whatever, will go right back onto the map, have the damage that you've already done, and then you can fight them again and again until you have killed the group boss. And there are some tasks in the Spec Ops to fight the group bosses, so you're definitely going to want to do it. This screenshot just shows that the inventory is working in combat. That is one of the things that is not available in 5.2. In 5.5 and 5.6, combat inventory was working, but it was a little sketchy. Sometimes offensive items got used on you instead of the enemy and everything, like you would use a shred grenade and your team would be bleeding. But yes, inventory will be fully functional. I don't know if there will be tooltips of the inventory items in Beta 6. There are tooltips throughout Beta 6. But in combat, like if I were to mouse over this, I don't know that there would be a tooltip that says EMP grenade or whatever. So you may have to do a little bouncing back and forth between the wiki and your gear to make sure you're using the right thing. These are ally maps. This is where you can collect your resources from your allies. Allies are going to be characters from the Marvel Universe. There will be some Easter eggs. Some of them will join you as an ally by leveling up. Some of you will be sort of like conditionals, like if you're playing an RPG and you do a secret mission to unlock a character, you'll have things like that. And you can either hit the collect all button or you can visit them manually and you'll be able to collect resources and distress calls. Yes, there are Spec Ops tasks that say go to an ally and collect like 20 ISO and everything. This is how you will do it. Thomas Fireheart over there always reminds me of Sabretooth when I see that one. But you can see Peggy Carter, Mary Jane Watson, Claire Temple, which I think is Night Nurse, one of the night nurses, if I remember correct. You can see here that you can resume your story mission or resume your Spec Ops mission from these buttons there. There's a task and there is a lockbox task. That is a star mastery task. So whenever you see that icon, it usually means, hey, you have a task to get 3 stars of mastery in a mission or 3 stars of mastery across all missions, something like that. You will discover new maps when you are visiting your allies and collecting your resources. There are maps that I've never seen before, so props to the team for getting them in there. I won't spoil that, but yeah, you'll know when you're on a new map. Here is a screenshot of PvP that is coming in Beta 6. There will be a number of tournaments, and it goes up to at least Angel. I'm not too sure how much further it goes beyond that, but you will be able to start all the way Deadpool and work your way up to Angel. If you've encountered this news before, great, you know it, but if you don't, certain PvP seasons will have conditionals like Scrapper only, Infiltrator only, certain team-ups or team memberships like Avengers or X-Men, things like that. The team has promised none of the conditionals will be overly restrictive, so you're not going to see PVAI Tournament 4 and it says Fantastic Four only, which means you're only going to get like 5 characters: Human Torch, Mr. Fantastic, Invisible Woman, Thing, and Spider-Man in his Fantastic Four suit. Like, you're not going to see that. The conditionals will be fair, and I think the team has said they want to try to get conditionals that are at least 10 members or higher. So it should be good. I've worked through all the way into recruiting Angel, and at no point did I feel any of the PVAI restrictions were overly tight. They were all pretty fun. And believe it or not, I mean, PvP is going to challenge you. You can look at my video from last week and saw that I actually lost my first 2 matches and finished 3-2. Here is one of the tutorial screens where Nick Fury is talking to you and sort of introducing you into the game. And here we are back to the beginning of the tutorial. We can also see screenshots here of fighting a group boss. This is a screenshot of doing some PvP. We have Deadpool, we have Shatterstar, we've got the Radiant Cannon, the Rocket Pistol. I believe that is the custom sword of the Barony, the one that heals when hitting bleeding people. It could be the Soulfire sword. I need to see the hilt, but and the Cosmic Cardinal. You can see the hit point values are really, really high. The hit point values and stamina are high. That is dictated by your armory. This allows you to set the challenge you want. The more you jack up your armory and the higher items you put in the armory, the higher your values will be in PvP. So if you want to deal with fairly mid amounts of damage, both for your hit points and incoming and outgoing damage, maybe only do about a page or two of your armory. If you like big values and you like seeing big numbers, big crits, having giant health pools and everything like that, then go ahead and stack your armory with high value items, and then you will get stuff that looks like this. If you look at my videos on the Thursday night fights, you'll notice the hit point values are considerably different, and that's because I kept a fairly tame armory. This one I'm not exactly too sure what's showing off here. I think it's maybe a beginning agent against one of the very first fights you get into. And it also kind of shows the fade out is now working properly when somebody dies. This is what the PVAI hero roster is going to look like. So in the original game, you may remember that the thumbnails were thinner or smaller when you were looking at the screen. And that was because the developers knew they had a finite amount of characters and they could fit it on the screen. And anytime a column started adding new characters, they just shrank the thumbnails a little bit. Well, what the current development team is doing is giving them nice, rich, bigger thumbnails where you get more of a feel of the character, and you can also very clearly see their level colors. Like immediately you can see there's a ton of 12s over here, but then there's some blue 11s and there's some orange 10s, and then there are some no color sub 10s and everything like that. The bigger thumbnails make this much clearer. Now there's scroll arrows. So rather than try to cramp everything in on a screen and keep making the thumbnails smaller and smaller as the game progresses, they just added a scroll to it so that everybody gets a nice full thumbnail and the colors are super, super obvious. And then there's the bonuses. So again, just like it was in the original game, if you want hit points, you do a lot of bruisers, you do a lot of tacticians. If you want accuracy and attack, you're going to go blasters. Generalist is like a little bit of every stat. Infiltrators are evasion, bruisers are defense, blasters are attack. Tacticians are hit points and stamina points. You can have your heroes sit in a uniform that puts them in a specific class and gives you a specific bonus. So if you wanted to go for, like, say, a Rocket Raccoon Star-Lord team and you want to go for a glass cannon in PvP, you're going to put characters as blasters and scrappers. If you're doing like a pesty kind of team where you're doing, say, pesty and famine rogue and stuff like that, you're going to want to go with bruisers and tacticians. Now I'm getting really far ahead of myself when I mention those teams because they're all season 2 characters, which is not beta 6, but just trying to make a point there. And there we go. And now we're back to fighting a group boss. So also the screenshots are available in this discussion over here that Goofy put out on the Facebook group. The pictures are essentially the same. It's the same ones that we've seen in Discord, but a robust conversation is beginning to happen from that. You can see that it was posted 5 hours ago, and it's already basically at 50 comments. So people are definitely excited about it. Some people are getting tagged, but you can't see into this group unless you're part of it. So tagging outside people unfortunately doesn't help. But Beta 6 is definitely soldiering on. Unfortunately, over the last year or so, you get people on Reddit and on the the YouTube comments here, and a little bit on Facebook, but it's not as bad on Facebook. That are just thinking Beta 6 would never come, or and this is the one that frustrates me the most. People who think the devs have lied to them or made promises about Beta 6, or that it's continuing to quote unquote be teased. No, nobody's teasing anybody. That this development team is full of good, honest, and nice people that are not trying to dangle carrots in front of any donkeys out there. They've just been putting out progress updates as they go along in Beta 6, and they're not meant to tease. They never were. None of my videos aren't, the streams aren't, these kinds of posts aren't. They're just simply updates that the development team is trying to provide the community so that they know what is going on. And believe me, that is certainly a lot higher interactivity than a lot of AAA software houses that just don't put out really anything. And if they do, it's maybe text here and there. And then you have people like, I know Destiny 2 is notorious for this. They put out these community discussions. The community tells them what they like and don't like, and then they just do their own thing. They literally ignore what the community has told them. My girlfriend used to do Destiny 2 back in the day, and she used to tell me how that goes, or how that went. I think it was called the TWAB, the week in Destiny or something like that, and it was sometimes really bad. So give them props for getting this news out there, and give Goofy a pat on the back for getting some screenshots out there of what the beginning of the Beta 6 experience is going to be like when you're doing your early story fights and you're going through the initial training and tutorial missions and everything. So we'll still have the Thursday night fights video here on YouTube much later in the day. I just wanted to get this video out here now in a timely manner for you guys so that there's been a wealth of information coming out about Beta 6 here in the last few hours. So enjoy the video. I will see you next week on Twitch. Link will be down below in the description, or I will see you back on YouTube later in the day for the Thursday Night Fights PvP video. Take care and have a good one.